become independent from that.
Were you addressing me, Carlos?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Well, I've got a story about Independence Day here in the U.S.
Great.
And it's a family story. So long ago, when I first met my wife, she didn't really understand my family because we were practical jokers. So one Fourth of and the tradition in my family is my father would clean out the refrigerator every Saturday morning and make an omelet with whatever he could find. So it became a tradition for us to say when somebody said, "What do we do with these leftovers?" We'd say, "Put it in the refrigerator. My father will fry it up with eggs in the morning." So one 4th of July, my wife was at my family's house for the first time, and we had a barbecue, and we had watermelon. And we had a lot of watermelon left over. And my wife asked my brother, "What should I do with the leftover watermelon?" And he said, "Put it in the refrigerator. My dad will fry it up with eggs in the morning." And then she understood why I was saying that to her all the time is, "What do I do with the leftovers? Put it in the refrigerator. I'll fry it up with eggs in the morning." And after about 5 years, or maybe 10 years, she began saying that to our children. So she eventually turned into us and tells our children as they got into their early teens, or almost their teens, is whenever they said, "What do we do with these leftovers?" Put it in the refrigerator, we'll fry them up with eggs in the morning. So that's my history of Independence Day.
That's wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Jim. Thanks for sharing, Jim. What about you, Ian? Yeah, is that correct?
Yes, Ian.
Ian, how are you?
I feel great.
Hey, do you have some stories like that you want to share with us? Anything pop into your mind?
Well, 4th of July, I'm from the Philippines, and our Independence Day is June 12th.
Okay.
But
so it was recently.
Yes, let me share to you this part of history of ours.
Sure.
Because before it became June 12th, as it is today, Philippine history, we celebrate Philippine independence on the 4th of July. And then, if to sum it up, the American government and to our president Manuel Rojas, we made during the 60s, made it a point to change the history, to change the Independence Day from the 4th of July to the 12th of June. So what I'm trying to share that even if you think we're not interconnected, we are connected one way or another. We both wanted independence. We both wanted freedom. And both our countries is still striving to defend that freedom at all costs. Good day.
Okay. Thanks, Ian. Thanks for sharing. I didn't know you guys shared before that Independence Date. That's great. And I see, as I told you, I don't see your name, so I see the lady of the 5 a.m. How are you?
Jennifer.
Is Jennifer?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
You're still whispering, so you don't.
Oh, am I? Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, we hear you perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
I was trying desperately to not wake my daughter up, but she just waddled downstairs. So I guess I can speak in a normal tone. She's 4 and just is now kind of understanding that today is a holiday and that tonight there's gonna be fireworks. So she's been really excited about today. Are the fireworks happening yet? I'm like, in like 15 hours. Yeah, go back to bed.
I think that's great. So can you share how you used to celebrate, or if there was a special uh, celebration that you recall, that you remember in your youth about Independence Day.
Sure, I'll tell you about the first 4th of July, the first Independence Day that I remember. And that was both sides of my parents' family were in the military. They were both Air Force families. And we lived at that time near a base. My mom wanted to be near her parents, and that's where they lived. And I remember going to the base on Independence Day for the fireworks show, and we parked on near the airfield. And they had this huge, spectacular fireworks show. And it was thousands of people. The entire sky was just lit up like crazy. But I couldn't enjoy it because I didn't understand what it was. No, I'd never seen it before. Nobody had explained what fireworks were or how incredibly loud they were. All I knew is we're on a base and things are blowing up, and I was so scared. Every pop, every crack, and even though it was so beautiful when it was up in the sky, it was a lot. It was a lot to take in. And I couldn't comprehend how all these people were just looking up and smiling and laughing, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is the world ending? What is happening here? This is so scary. And now I think about that when we're out watching things, and I look around to see, like, are the little kids okay? Do they understand that this is all fun and games, where everybody's okay? Interestingly, in my city, there's a big movement around being really mindful of those sorts of celebrations, specifically because it's scary for little kids and it's scary for veterans that might have post-traumatic stress syndrome. All the noise and the explosions is really triggering for them. So I think that that's kind of an interesting cultural change for us to be aware of that and try to be mindful of us celebrating this really important day in our history, but also being considerate of how that celebration impacts those around us. I cannot believe I've not gotten a green light yet. Oh my gosh, I feel like I've been talking forever. But thank you. I'll turn it back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Oh, the screen went away. Okay, it's back. Great story. I understand what you say about the impact of fireworks. We also celebrate mostly in Christmas. We use fireworks, and when our family got together before, my grandmother and all the pets were very scared all the time at 12 o'clock during the night when everybody started like popping their fireworks, and was very loud. So I remember the fear of other people, and they usually, because this house were on the beach, they have many of them, the ceilings were palm tree, so they were also scared of that getting on fire, and it never happened because it was this, because also it was in front of the ocean. It got it was also very humid, so but it was always the concern of it. Yes. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Thank you. I'm okay.
Great.
Want to hear my independence?
Of course, I want to hear your story.
So
we're ready.
Independence. I think it was from my father when I dared to marry.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't like the one I chosen. I don't know if he was right or not. But 15 years later, my second independence was when I finally divorced my cheating husband.
Okay.
And because he was very, he just sometimes begin to be not very nice, abusive, let's say, I was afraid. So when I got independence from him and went to America, that was a wonderful thing for me. And then the year later, in 1978, I remember my first American independence celebration. It was an American scientist, very nice fellow, at least it seemed to me, and he liked my two children, invited us in Washington near the monument at the evening to look at the fireworks. And we all sat down and looked up at the wonderful fireworks. And I dreamed at the same time of a family again. So that family never happened because I found out he was also not faithful, even if we were not even lovers, and he already cheated on me, and that he was also drinking a lot and couldn't stop. But that day was the most wonderful Independence Day I had, and my dreams were all there and still stay with me, because the good things never evaporate. It always rests with us somehow, in us. Mr. Topic Master.
Oh, thank you, Julie. That was a fast and a very, very deep and a lot of stories in just few minutes. Thank you very much. Very different angles from the independence. And I see in the screen, I think it's Chris, I'm not sure. I see. What is her name? Because, hi. You know, I've seen the screen and yes, you. The thing is, I cannot see the name, so I can you tell me what is your name? Chris. Oh, hi, Chris. How are you?
Good.
How are you doing? Okay. As you have here, we are talking about independence, even if it's countries' independence or personal independence stories. So feel free to share with us wherever you have in your heart or in your mind to tell us.
I would like to wish my American speakers here happy Thanksgiving. And well, we have one coming up too. 31st of August is our Independence Day. I'm from Malaysia, and
Okay.
Basically we were occupied at one time by the Spanish, the British, the Dutch, but we got our independence from the British. So it's celebrated widely on 31st of August, which is coming up. But in Malaysia, it's with the economy nowadays, it's pretty quiet. So most of us, we just hang out in the shopping centers, enjoy the air conditioning, and have a good meal with family. And basically, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And do you remember any celebration? Any special that you had when you were young or something?
It's to me, it's just a gathering with family and friends. Basically,
Okay.
it's getting together.
That's great. That's great. It's also like that. Somehow like that in my country also. Yes. Yes. Oh, she's wake up.
We have Viviana and Svetlana who didn't speak yet.
Okay. Hello, Viviana. How are you? Viviana, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. So
All right.
can you tell us about your independence in your country and then any celebration that you would like to share with us?
So I'm from, my origin country is from Indonesia. So we celebrate independence on 17th of So all the school children have to participate. Normally we celebrate at school by the assembly, and also celebrate like when I was in small town, we went to parade around the city and we dressed in a national costume. When we dress in our national costume, we felt proud of our country. As we grow up, we didn't do it anymore. But for overseas, they consulate or Indonesian embassy like have this open celebration for their nationalities in overseas. We can come to the embassy to celebrate Independence Day.
Oh, that's great. Oh, thank you. There is Habib. Hello, Habib. How are you?
Hello, how are you?
Good, good, good. You just joined the meeting, or you were listening before?
I just joined the meeting.
Great.
I don't have. Okay.
Okay, we are having a Toastmaster day, a topic master day in our meeting. So we were talking about independence. Independence could be in story about your country independence, or also personal independence in your evolution as a human being. So whatever you feel like to share with us at this moment will be great to hear from you.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master. For me, independence is not what we want to do. Independence is all about responsibility, and it comes from nationalism. I can share about our history of independence of Bangladesh. This land was ruled by British for more than 200 years. Then variation of India and Pakistan, Bangladesh was part of Pakistan. On the time it was called East Pakistan. And we had a huge difference between East and West Pakistan. And we achieved our independence through liberation war in 1971. The liberation was for more than 9 months, and more than 3 million people sacrificed their life for this independence. And in last 45 years, we have been developing our country. It's the emerging economy. We are not like Malaysia or Singapore, but we are following the development of the other Asian developed countries. And the biggest achievement we have got from our independence, we are one of the important contributors of the textile industry of the world. If you wear a t-shirt or any branded shirt or any type of clothes, I will be fortunate, you will find the tag is made in Bangladesh. So I consider this is the achievement from our independence, and that's all from my side. I think I took more time.
It's okay, we have time. Thank you, Habib. Great, wonderful, wonderful. And our dear Madam Toastmaster, hi, Svetlana. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you, Carlos.
Good. Well, what is in your mind? What do you want to share with us? Personal or country life?
Well, it was very interesting to listen to all stories, And I was thinking that, it's great to be a storyteller Toastmaster. So I was taking notes, and at the end, I want to share my feedback with everybody else. But I was especially inspired by Habib's story about his country. And I thought about, what I was going to say, and immediately his story kind of transported me into my reality. I'm a resident of 2 countries, and my children live in the United States. So the Independence Days in all of these 3 countries are very, very important to me. And being spread out in 3 big countries, for me, it makes me one of the most peace-loving persons in the world. I think I really, really want this world to be peaceful, to be self-sustainable, to be an excellent, excellent place for our children to live. Independence, I think it brings a lot of good stuff to each country. And my home country where I was born and where I am at the moment, it achieved independence several times in its time. I live in a very ancient city of Samarkand, which had so many independence days throughout of its 3,000 years of history that we really are quite philosophical about independence. I can see that Uzbekistan, my country, has so many achievements within a very short period of time. One of its biggest achievements, I think, is that it got rid of child labor in cotton picking. Uzbekistan is one of the 5 biggest countries in the world that picks cotton, grows its own cotton, and we stopped using child labor in cotton. So for me, because I took part in that movement very, very actively, very active part I had myself. So for me, this is very, very important. And everything else that is happening in this country is, delights me to the, to the depth of my heart. Enough for now. Thank you, Carlos.
Thank you,
I can
Svetlana.
speak a lot.
And we will love to hear you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Is anyone I haven't called yet? Chen, how are you?
Hello. Hello. Yes,
Hi,
I'm
how
from
are you? How you doing?
Singapore.
Hi,
Yeah.
great.
In Singapore, we actually don't call it independence, but we name it as our national day. And the day actually falls on the 9th of August. To us, independence, it means a lot because Singapore being the smallest country, I would say one of the smallest island country in the world, we don't have any natural resources. We are basically just surrounded by the sea. The only resources that we have is people, our own people. So how did we do it is, back in the olden colonial days, we were ruled by the British, and our first Prime Minister, Mr. Lee Kuan Yew, he was our founding father. He actually fought for independence because at that time, the British didn't want to have anything to do with Singapore anymore because we just had nothing at that time. We were just what we call a Malay word called a kampong. I think Chris would identify because Chris is from our neighboring country, Malaysia. A kampong is basically just along the beach and the houses are made of atap houses. Very easily destroyed by the natural catastrophe like storms and that kind of thing. And 1965, 9th of August was the day we gained independence. We broke away from the British. And it was very hard because, like I said, we had nothing. We literally built ourselves up from a small little island to what we call one of the leading countries in the world now. If you come to Singapore now, you'll be very, very surprised. We are surrounded by high-rise buildings and everything. We really fought very hard to get where we are. And National Day is a very big day for us because we celebrate with firecrackers, yes. And this is also the day where the 4 main races come together. We have Malays, Indians, Chinese, and the Eurasians. We come together to celebrate. We all have our own religions and cultures, but the amazing thing is that we are able to coexist together, living within the close community, and I think that's very important. Tolerance of one another and to understand each other better and to live and work together as one. Back to you, Tabletop Master.
Thank you, Chang. Thank you for all that you shared and told us. Wonderful, wonderful story. So I think we don't have anyone else to tell, right?
Yes, I think as a Toastmaster of the day, I want to ask you, Carlos, about your concept of independence. And if
Okay,
you
can
link,
you give me one
yes,
1 minute?
Yes, and if you can link, yes, sure.
Because I have no energy. I have to plug it in. Just a few seconds. Sorry.
Something I need to point out that at least two persons in this meeting mentioned their full dependence on the nature. Cheng said that the country or the place where she lives depends on the nature, like you're at the mercy of the nature, and Carlos is at the mercy of electricity.
Yes. Electricity, screen, at the mercy of the mouse, and at the mercy of technology today.
Yes. Carlos, I want to give you a question for your topic. Sure. What is your concept of independence, and if you can link it to a personal story? I know you can do it.
I can do it. I had it already in mind. So.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Independence for me is like connecting with what you really want to do. And just let me tell you the personal story. Listening to Julie's story, I kind of remember wanting to tell you the independence I had from, you could say, alcohol. It was not that I was alcoholic, but we used to drink a lot. I mean, with friends in parties and things like that. And we used to. I mean, when we go out, when we date, to have courage to take. Here is very common to dance. So when you have to ask a girl to dance with you, you have to get some courage. And so the usual way to do it was take a few drinks before, and get pumped up and ask her to dance with you and date. So recently we had one of our friends got married, and they married here in the city where I'm living from. So some of our friends came over. Some of stay at my mother's. So we went to the marriage, which took place at night. I was going by myself. I was not dating with anyone, and. But I met someone in the celebration. So we just talk, we dance, we connect, and it was really nice. And of course it was a long party, until very, very early in the next morning. So when I wake up, when we were talking about this, I was recalling, because when I wake up the next day with just a few hours of sleep, I felt sleepy, but I was so happy that I didn't. I mean, I have not drinking 10 years. I didn't tell you this in the part of the story. I haven't drinking in around 10 years. So when I wake up and little sleepy, I'm like, oh, thanks. I'm so glad that I don't drink, and so I felt that independence from from the need of something else to in this case, in this example, to talk to a woman, to dance, to talk with friends. Some of them, I remember the story because some of them were just they still drinking, and they think how it's possible for you that you don't drink, you don't do anything like that. So that's the story.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Carol. That was exciting. That was really, really interesting. Now, time for feedback. And you know, in Toastmasters, feedback evaluation means so much. And today we are so fortunate. We have quite a few guests, Toastmasters from friendly clubs, who can provide their feedback. Why don't I start off with my feedback, and then we will welcome any other feedback from from all of you guys, because I think we all will benefit. We want to benefit from your evaluations of today's table topics. Like Jim started off with family stories. I liked the way that he delivered his story. He told the story. He was smiling, and he was very charming. And that story that he told us of the pranks, a family who was very, very good at pranks. And Independence Day was woven into the fabric of the story. And really, the central prank was so funny that it was full of details, of very visual details, a lot of imagery, and made me smile. And I could see that other members, other participants were smiling as well. So that was what was also very interesting, that there was a generational thing going on, that children over time turned into parents, and they inherited that funny punchline that now they were telling their children. Don't worry, my dad will fry it with eggs in the morning, whatever is left over. I think that was hilarious. Then we had Ian telling us about 4th July Independence Day, that Philippines shared the date of independence with the United States, and then they took courage to change that, and now they have their own Independence Day, while major things are still in common between these two nations. They both are still fighting for freedom and their independence. And I also very much liked how Ian finished his story with a very positive and jolly exclamation of "good day." So his story was about how we are all really connected. Then Jennifer told about her very first experience of Independence Day. She was a child. And I thought once again that being a storyteller is really a great thing, because you can just relive your story and make everybody else engage, everybody else in your experience. Because I was looking through the eyes of a very young girl, how she was excited. Her story was full of details. And then later on, her own daughter came downstairs, and we could see the continuation of that. Somebody else is going to have their own first experience of Independence Day. And then what I liked really was that Jennifer shared with us the new culture of mindfulness. What children would think, or how veterans would feel, would they not have any flashback from noisy fireworks. That was also quite interesting for me. Also, we say that storytelling helps us to deliver a wrapped up message. Sometimes there is no message. Sometimes there is just sharing of experience. And there is this travel of a human soul through so many situations. That's where we connect if a story is told with sincerity from the first person. It takes us into a journey, and I think that is the greatest message we can get from any story. Later on, I think Chris shared her story of independence, how it goes in Malaysia. And the most important thing for Malaysian people is getting together with the family. So Independence Day is a family day. Viviana, Independence Day, her story of Independence Day somehow took us into school, and we learned about how school children are involved in celebrating the National Independence Day. And then Habib gave us a full documentary of his nation's struggle for independence from the British Empire, that their independence, that the British Empire was there for 200 years, and then there was a war, liberation war in 1971. In 9 months, 3 million people sacrificed their lives for independence. So, and today Bangladesh is one of the biggest textile countries in the world. Whatever we are wearing, it might be made in Bangladesh. We heard a lot of pride in his speech, in his story, and of course we are all patriotic, but somehow men are really, really patriotic, and somehow it came through in Habib's story. Then there was a story of independence from Singapore. Cheng told us about 9th of August and how they fought for independence, and she used the we, the pronoun we, which made the whole story sound really powerful. We learned about father of the nation, and how Singapore now is so very well known. No natural resources, she said, but the best resources were people. That's what the founding father said. And so, Cheng, thank you very much for your story as well. We learned that Singapore is a place where everybody have their own religion, their own cultures, where people learn tolerance and better understanding. What a beautiful, peaceful speech that was. Not just a story, but indeed there was a strong message in it. Now I would like to hear from all of you, one by one, what is your feedback, and also what you could recommend, because I think I only shared my impressions, but I didn't share any recommendations. Oh, and Carlos. Carlos, I actually wanted to recommend you something, or maybe to any one of us, and to myself included. Your story was wonderful. I think you identified identified independence as freedom to do things, to do what you want to do, and courage. You got, or your nation traditionally got courage from alcohol, for dating and for dancing, and then you gained your own independence from alcohol, and you could dance and you could enjoy yourself and you could date without alcohol. And now you haven't been drinking for 10 years, and this is a celebration, some kind of celebration as well. I think it's very, very important. And I thought that, all these fillers and little chanting, when you say, oh, it's kind of very, very individual, and it is easy to identify you through your manners. But I also learned that if we make an effort and we avoid filler words, all of a sudden there appear meaningful pauses. And as soon as I said that, I remembered about Julie's story, who managed to tell 3 stories in one short story. And actually, in Julie's storytelling, pauses are so important. The tiny pauses, but they're very powerful. They draw your attention, and also her facial expressions are wonderful, I think. She told us 3 little stories of independence, and very, very positive ending, that we celebrate dreams and good things stay with us, even if they are just stay as dreams. So isn't that wonderful? Thank you. Sorry for the long speech. Yes, now I would like to hear your feedback and also your recommendations. Jennifer, would you? Yes, Julie. Yes, please.
Just, I think we should tell at least one which impressed us most, because if not, we will never finish. And for me, it was Cheng. I didn't really hear much about Singapore until now. And now I am really intrigued to so many different people celebrating each in their way and being together well despite their religion differences. So I now want to know more about Singapore. And thank you very much. So come back and tell us more.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Chen. Yes. Jennifer, would you like to share your feedback and recommendations?
Yeah, thank you. I thought that this was so great. Julie, I want to thank you for sharing your story, because it's so, everybody's story was more relatable, but yours really touched me personally, having gone through something similar myself about 10 years ago. And I don't know, I just, that we're all, you know, our lives are, there's so many similarities if we just settle down and actually listen. The only recommendation I have, and this is coming from somebody, this is my first time ever using Zoom, and I didn't know there was this gallery view, which allows me to see everybody, including Viviana. So when I was talking, I didn't know how to see her, and now I do. So I apologize if I went over on my time, but maybe if it's somebody's first time, maybe we could put it in there, how they can access that so that they can participate a little bit better. But other than that, I loved everybody's shares. Thank you so much, and thanks for including me.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. Jim, I really look forward to your feedback as well, because you are very, very advanced, experienced Toastmaster.
Okay, thank you. As you can see, maybe if you see my name, I am a member of Online Presenters, an online club. I participate in another online club. I'm not a member on Saturday mornings. It's a club I helped to build out of a struggling club, and they became online about back in 2011, 2012. I'm also a member of a brick and mortar corporate club. One of the things I find very rewarding and beneficial with online clubs is the members are very diverse from across the globe. And you learn a lot. Like today, with the topic of Independence Day, you know, what we learn is everybody's different stories about independence in their countries. Typically in a brick and mortar club, we'd probably, if I was here in Texas, I'd hear just about the U.S. Independence Day from everybody. But in an online club, you get a much broader perspective from everybody of what their perception or their history of Independence Day is for them. And that's one of the things I find a common theme across all the online clubs when you've got members from around the world is you get different stories. And those stories are usually local stories from their own personal life. And it's not the same in every country. And it just creates a more interesting meeting. And that's what this meeting was. So thank you.
Habib, you came later, but yeah, if you have any feedback to share, please go ahead and do that. We don't hear you. We don't hear you.
He's still on mute.
I'm mute, yes.
There he is.
Yeah, I'm using Zoom on my phone for the first time. It's really different from using from laptop. The only feedback I would like to give you about the table topic, that we all have the stories inside, but sometimes we don't get the scope to express. But in the Toastmasters meeting, when the stories comes from different parts of the world in an online meeting, it makes me feel the oneness the similarities between you and me, and we all are the same. That makes me feel very, very good. And another thing I have learned from Jim, that you say that the diversity of uh, a online Toastmasters club, and I only visited few Toastmasters club like Firebird. Great, I'm a member of Great White North Online, and now we are building Witty Birds. But Witty Birds, we are a little exceptional. We are covering 3 different continents: Europe, Asia, and Australia. I think our meeting time is very, very suitable for the Toastmasters who want to have online experience. So I would appreciate all the participants today. Please come back again. It's not necessary you'll have to join as a member, but your presence in our meeting will make us more encouraged that we can build a very good quality online Toastmasters club in this region. So this is what I have to share with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Habib. Thank you, Habib. Now, Cheng, as we were very impressed with your story, what is your feedback? What is your evaluation of today's stories, and what could you recommend us?
Well, to be honest, this is my very first time in joining an online Toastmasters club. I joined mainly because I was curious. I heard about online Toastmasters club from a visiting Toastmaster from Australia. He happened to be on holiday in Singapore, and he was scouting around to join an ongoing Toastmasters club. And it just so happened that night, Tuesday night, was my club's meeting. And our club, whenever we have a meeting, each one of us would take turns to do a write-up and post it on Facebook. And that was how he came to learn about our meetings. He came and he talked about online Toastmasters club. So that sparked a curious streak in all of us here in Singapore. Because in Singapore, there was once an online Toastmaster club which was set up last year, but it folded up due to the members not being active. And now I think the interest is there. They're trying to set one up, but just do not know how. So one way of getting around is we are trying to get invited to online Toastmasters club like Witty, and we just want to find out and gain an experience of how an online club is being run. Especially when we speak, we are actually using the video, which actually places more emphasis on our vocal variety and facial expression, because it's very, very different from an offline club, which emphasizes everything, the whole body language. But an online is very limited because you are only seeing basically the face and the top part of your body. That's it. As for recommendation, I don't really have, because this is only my second time using Zoom. I'm actually a VPE of my club, and on 25th July, in a few more weeks' time, Pathways is coming down to Singapore. So this is also one way we are trying to have more online penetration for Singapore, especially because many Toastmasters in Singapore are actually retirees, and they don't really have that kind of knowledge about online penetration. So they actually more or less depend on us, on the younger generation, to pass on the knowledge to them. And also we are trying to recruit more new members, especially the younger ones. So that's my take.
Yeah, that's a good news, Jen. Thank you. And go ahead and invite more fellows to our meetings. And I must say that Habib is newly elected district director. Habib, are you a district director, a new district director? And Habib is going to India to organize the first ever Toastmasters Club in Bhutan. And he's going to take the message about witty storytellers, witty birds, to India. So we expect an influx of members, of guests from India. And this actually brings me back to my home country where I am now. We haven't got a Toastmasters club in Uzbekistan yet, and I think we are about to found one. Just as soon as Witty Birds is chartered, I might start a new club in Uzbekistan, but no promise, just an intention. Viviana, yes, Julie.
I would like to say two short things. One, to see coming from so many different countries, when we speak about ourselves, something deep inside, very suddenly we find out that we are so much alike and not so diverse as we believe. And secondly, that having started Pathways 3 months ago, I began to make a blog, and any of you who are interested, come to see. Today was a special day for me because it was 5,000 visits of my blog. And it is about my pathway experience and different things about how I experienced it.
Yeah.
So anytime you want, you can also ask me questions for those who are interested in pathways.
Thank you, Julie. Indeed, Julie is our pathfinder. Okay, Carlos, thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Yes, Julie is our pathfinder. We call her in Witty Storyteller. And Toastmasters from other clubs are approaching me via email, telling me they would like to know more about Pathways because Witty Storytellers has started Pathways. So I said, we haven't, but our members have. We have 2 members who are our Pathfinders who have started Pathways. And this is, I also send them to Julie's blog. And indeed, Julie shares her experience, but also she uses our clubs as an opportunity for speaking. Never forget that a new club or any club where you're invited gives you a speaking opportunity. So we want to create more speaking opportunities. You are welcome to come and speak and share your story, and we will make you a special guest for that. And you will become part of our agenda as well. So keep that in mind. Viviana, would you like to share your feedback of today's stories and give us recommendations?
Sorry, I think I support Jim. The importance of online Toastmaster is the diversity. Because you can't find it in our land-based club Toastmaster. In land-based club, maybe when we attend meeting, sometimes meeting and we don't have we can't work back, but online Toastmaster we have a recording, so we may not attend the meeting, but we can watch it recording. And also the importance of online Toastmaster is international. I like the international mindedness, like understanding and celebrate the value of the diversity. It is like comparing between the international school and public or local school. So in public local school, our friends are from the same nationalities, but in international school, we mix with a lot of people from different nationalities. And the VP clerks also encourage storytelling. That is, I think, the foundation that every public speaker should learn. Back to you, Svetlana.
Thank you, Viviana. Thank you. Well, I wanted to say two things while I was listening to Viviana, that and also when I was listening to Chen, that indeed, you know, online clubs give you this opportunity of having so many people from so many different countries. And when in Firebirds we had our first ever speech contest, it was a humorous speech contest. By the way, I got the first prize. I had this feeling that it was an international speech contest, an international contest, because people were from different countries. And now to what Chen said, that in offline clubs we deliver our speeches standing. Well, in online clubs as well, some of our members, me included, when I deliver speeches, I do it standing, and right, that gives you, more freedom, and not just vocal variety, but also body movement, and body language as well. And somehow it helps your voice projection, just like in the offline club. So you can do that. I believe, Chris, you haven't yet shared your feedback about speeches today, about two topics. Would you like to? And what would you like to recommend us? And yeah.
No, at first it was very scary because as I look at the screen, I have all these frames looking at me. It's a bit scary, but I just want to say thanks to everybody. It's like I feel very at ease and very comfortable in this meeting, and I would like to sit in some more for your meetings if it's all right.
Of course.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I must say that we are very happy to have you. And same about Chen. We are so happy to have you today. Jennifer, you're absolutely amazing. Jim, thank you for coming. Indeed, you're very welcome to come again and again, please. And also prepare speeches. Consider that, be our speaker. And also, not just a speaker, be our evaluator, and you're very welcome to be our general evaluator. Next time when we have a very well organized and a very, very well prepared meeting, we need a general evaluator. Right. Okay. Will you come again, Jennifer? Yes. And Jim, will you come again? Will you be our speaker or general evaluator?
If it's at this time, is it this time on Tuesdays every week, or how often does the club meet?
First and third Tuesdays.
Okay, the same time. I can join I can participate. I can do this probably from work at 7 o'clock in the morning. We start at 8, so I can probably just go to work early and do it from there. So I can participate, which will help to maybe attract more members for you.
Oh, yes.
I may not be able to join, but I can be somebody that adds to the club and help you build the club up.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you so much. That's wonderful. Yes, and by all means, be a general evaluator for our club. Evaluate speeches or tell us a story.
Sure.
Same about Jennifer. We would very much like to benefit from your attendance, from your participation.
Definitely.
That's right. Thank you. Any business? Do we want to discuss any business, any after party? I think we finished with our agenda mainly. And yes, by all means, go and visit Julie's blog. More than 5,000 visits already. Pathways experience. Yes, sometimes when you look for it, it will show as pathways experience. Yes, exactly. Julie, what was your very last, very recent pathways experience? What did you do? Apart from writing the blog, did you have speeches? Can you tell us a little bit about pathways? Yes.
I didn't have speech last time, but I became secretary in a club in District 27. And my last experience to look at the other side of the mirror and to see how base cap managers see the world of pathways. So I begin discovering and being able to tell, yes, he finished level 4, like me, and now he's 5. Yes, he has not even chosen a path, even if he tells that he is already on level 3, but where it is, and to decide how to help each other individually, and to see the other side of the mirror, like not like a guide, but a guide, but a pathway base manager, which can be every president, VP, generally, and secretary. So that is my last experience, like this morning. And the other is, I wrote yesterday a blog telling about a feature I discovered I can repair or go better, use it better. And this morning I discovered it doesn't work. So I wrote a blog spot telling that, okay, so it is beautiful, everything, but we have still problems with it. And I can tell also about problems, not that everything is okay. But that makes the blog even more interesting because at our lives, nothing is perfect. So,
there are challenges and controversies. And
challenges also add somehow. Sure. Those are my 2 experiences from this morning.
For those who are interested in pathways, in Witty Storytellers, we had a workshop with George Marshall, and that workshop is fully recorded, and you can access the recording if you join our Witty Storytellers group, where we have this unlisted video. And that workshop was really interesting, very well structured, very eloquent speaker. He told us about the difference between the old current education program and pathways. And indeed, he converted several Toastmasters to start pathways while we are still doing our CC or our normal pathways. And I must say, not just Julie, but Brian as well. Brian Dodd is another person who is pursuing pathways, and he's a member of the Storytellers. He gave us a list of clubs who are in pathways zone, and we can join those clubs, and we can start pathways anytime we want. And I must say that both Julie and Brian, they really, I sometimes think that that they're doing it in order for other people to have an example and make it easier for other people to join pathways. And it reminds me of the service that Toastmasters deliver to other people. And this is priceless. This is really precious. So thank you for doing that, Julie.
Yes, I also do it for myself. I learned a lot.
Of course.
Path, and today I wrote a little bit in my blog post, all the things I learned in different levels and how I changed my views because I learned not only reading the material, but reading books around the subject which were usually around the change management. And we all change, our life change.
Yeah.
There are many changes in our life, so I begin to reflect a little bit differently. And even when I told about independence from my father, it came from reflecting something about a book I read for Pathways.
Right. So, Julie, can you say this about Pathways? That Pathways has a life-changing effect on the Toastmasters.
For me, yes, and I think I listened 3 days ago again to Pat Johnson video, which I will publish in my blog also. And by the way, George Marshall and Paul White, who is chief ambassador in 27, speech also is published. But Pat Johnson, who was the one who worked with 270 people to decide what it will be the new program, she told that in fact we don't go to have awards, Toastmaster. We go to learn. We go to have more courage. We go to develop ourselves, to enjoy what we are doing, to read it again, to begin again, and so on. So I understood now. Svetlana was one of the who interviewed her together with Daryl and Lorraine, even if she was not much on the screen, and I was there to help Pat to go into the blurb thing, which she didn't know how to do. And I didn't realize at the time how important everyone, and mostly Pat, who was there to make that program, told at that time. It is on YouTube, you can listen to it also, and it is really interesting because it shows a little bit of how and why we have to change, and how they believed somehow. In same time, it remains very much Ralph Smedley idea, and that is reflected in level 1 completely. At the same time, it used the new technology and our possibilities to research Google easy and go farther than just what is on the screen, and we get used very fast about it. So I learned so much in these last 3 months. Of course, I am ready to help everyone, but I didn't learn it to show to everyone.
Julie, I think today we will post the links in the Witty Birds group. Yeah? The links which you mentioned.
I put it in the chat already.
Yes, but there's also, you mentioned the interview with Pat Johnson, and we will put that link in the Witty Birds group as well. Yeah,
it is a long video, and you have to wait 20 minutes until she is really on the screen, but then she remains on the screen for an hour.
Okay.
And she is wonderful.
I remember
she
that.
speaks about everything she learns, and how much she likes learning, and how much she thinks that all Toastmasters are learning. We are not there to have CC or whatever award, but we are there to have something new and to improve ourselves.
Yes, I remember. Yes, Yes, that's right. She's very personable, and also she is so enthusiastic. And her enthusiasm is contagious because she mostly talks about herself, how it was for her. And I remember she gave us this 60-second pitch. And it was about her experiences, how she was changing over time. So, yeah, that's worth going back and watching again and sharing it with others. Indeed. Okay, so if yes, yes,
It was very nice to speak to all of you,
thank
and I
you.
hope.
Yes, I think we can finish today's meeting. Thank you everybody for coming, and please stay tuned. And we will have another meeting in 2 weeks' time. You will be invited. Thank you. Bye. Have a great day and enjoy the Independence Day. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Nice meeting everybody.
Thank you, Jim. Nice meeting you.
Bye.
Thank
I'll
you.
see you next time.
Bye.
Keep in touch and join Witty Birds group
Sure.
on
Sure.
Facebook.
Okay. Bye.